Hey, it's Dave Brown here, host of Now with Dave Brown on AMI. Check out this latest highlight from the show. A new textbook is breaking barriers as the first to cover the intersectionality of law and disability in the country. Dr. Laverne Jacobs is a professor at the University of Windsor and the lead author of Law and Disability in Canada, Cases and Materials. Hey, Dr. Jacobs, thank you for making so much time to be with us on the show today. We're so appreciative.
Oh, thank you, Dave. It's a pleasure to be on the show.
So before we dig any deeper into the contents, tell us a bit about the textbook and what your primary goal was behind it.
Yeah, absolutely. So Law and Disability Cases and Materials is a set of materials that examine the ways in which people with disabilities engage with the law and also examines the ways that they are treated by the law. So it covers a wide number of legal fields, and that's one of the things that's very unique about the book. And in doing so, it really aims to think about the ways that people with disabilities fight for equality across the life course. And it also, shows us the ways in which they are successful and what things need still to be done.
Hey, Dr. Jacobs, we're just having a little internet connection issue with you. It's coming in a little bit garbly. So what we're going to do is our audio producer, Daniel, is going to reconnect with you via phone here in just a moment. We've reconnected with Dr. Laverne Jacobs from the University of Windsor. Dr. Jacobs, we apologize for those technical issues. Thank you for hanging on for us there. Hey, let's just go back to that first question and give us a bit of a reminder on what you were mentioning in regards to the primary goal behind this textbook.
Yeah, absolutely. So I was saying that the purpose of the book is to enable people to see the various barriers that are encountered by people with disability as they fight for equality across the life course. So in contexts such as employment and in community living, one of the primary goals of the book was to make sure that law and disability was placed very squarely within the law school curriculum. So we created this book so that those who are teaching seminars about law and disability would have some materials. Before our book, there weren't such materials. But we also created this book so that law professors across many fields would be able to use the materials to teach about disability issues in any area of law. And that was really important to us. It's important that that people are able to see the challenges that are out there and are able to incorporate a disability lens to include people with disabilities in the curriculum. There's one last goal, Dave, if I can just mention.
Please.
And that was to ensure that practitioners in the legal field, but also people who are outside of the legal field, so that by that I'm referring to social workers or human resources workers, people who are, in fields where they encounter and work with people with disabilities. We wanted to make sure that they had some resources, some tools about the law affecting people with disabilities as well.
It really sounds like a wide-reaching endeavor with a lot of wide-ranging materials to cover. So who did you collaborate with in regards to making sure all this material was applicable across various levels of law, but also perhaps different jurisdictions in Canada?
Yes, thanks for the question. So I reached out to some fantastic colleagues across the country. We have Ruby Dand, who is a professor at Thompson Rivers University, two professors and a graduate student from the University of Manitoba. We also had a graduate student from Ontario. I'm missing one other faculty member from the University of Victoria, and myself. In total, we had six faculty members, 6 professors working on this. Certainly, the material in the book covers many jurisdictions, and you'll see that in the chapters. We have chapters that look at Ontario, but also British Columbia, Manitoba. And also, it covers a wide field of reach. So we had professors who teach and research in the area of criminal law, also professors that research and teach in the areas of social benefits or constitutional human rights law, community living, things like that.
Knowing a few lawyer friends and a few friends in the legal field, I know that attention to detail is something that is so important. And I can only imagine when you're putting together something like this, a textbook, which has so much inside of it. How long did it take to get all these details and make the decisions to put in what you and your colleagues put in?
Oh, that's such a great question. Thank you, Dave. And yes, attention to detail is very important to us. This book took 4 years to make, and my colleagues and I worked very diligently. One thing that we noticed was that there wasn't a lot of material. So what you'll find in the book is that a number of the chapters, I think all of the chapters, have original research put into them. So yes, we were very careful. At the same time, this book is not meant to be a panacea. You won't find absolutely everything, but it's instead, meant to provide a solid resource and also to provide a thoughtful material that can lead to, useful discussions in classrooms, inside classrooms and outside of classrooms.
What's the significance of making sure that students at the academic level have an opportunity to learn about this kind of intersectionality?
Well, I think that, disability is everywhere. As people with disabilities, we are in every field. And so I think there are a number of important reasons to have this material. One is so that everyone is able to see people with disabilities within the legal context. I remember as a law student myself, I don't think I came across any cases that talked about the equality rights of people with disabilities or the experiences that they had in trying to ensure that those rights were respected. So I think that's a really important aspect of society that's missing in the law school classroom, and that should be there. I think, though, that it's also very important that lawyers today come out with competency in working with clients with disabilities. And there are, of course, going to be students with disabilities who will become lawyers, who will be in the law school. But there will also be, of course, students without disabilities. Everybody needs to know how to work together and how to support people with disabilities in a positive way, using a disability lens as opposed to one that's shaped around ableism.
Mm-hmm. Even in the last couple of weeks, we've seen a couple of major legal rulings that relate to disability and accessibility, whether it be the Court of Appeal in Nova Scotia, whether it be the Supreme Court of Canada weighing in on a couple of issues. With new issues popping up all the time, can we expect to potentially see another edition of this book moving forward?
Oh, we hope so. And we have lots of ideas as well already on that front. The book has garnered a lot of attention, and we're really grateful for that. And that is what fuels publishers to open the doors to another edition. So yes, you're absolutely right. Cases like McLean from the Nova Scotia Court of Appeal coming out in October, or the recent case which I just wrote about, Ward, dealing with bullying of children from the Supreme Court of Canada, and many others. There are a number of things that could be added, as well as a number of additional areas of law. This was the start. Certainly, we hope not a finish, and there are many other topics and areas to cover.
Speaking of that, Dr. Jacobs, you've been so generous with your time. I just have one more question for you here, because you've also have a forthcoming book called Disability, The Right of Access and the Law. I wonder if just before we let you go, you can give us a bit of a preview of what we can expect from that book.
Oh, absolutely. And thank you for asking. That book is one that looks at accessibility legislation and how it's grown as what I see as being the newest form of equality law for people with disabilities. So it is a book that has been put together over years. It incorporates qualitative data, interviews, as well as looking at some of the consultation data. I'm really excited about it. And, one part of it looks at the move from human rights legislation to accessibility legislation. And another part of it evaluates how effective accessibility legislation is as a new equality law.
Do you have a sense of when that book's going to be released?
Yes, it should be out in 2023. And so, yes, I hope that you and your readers will look out for it.
Well, forget just looking out for it. When it gets released, we're going to bring you back on the show and we're going to talk about it.
Well, that sounds wonderful. Thanks, Dave.
Hey, Dr. Jacobs, thank you for being so generous with your time today. Congratulations to you and your colleagues for getting this textbook released. It's no small feat to put together that kind of information. So thank you again for telling us more about it.
Thank you, Dave. Thanks for having me on the show.
That's Dr. Laverne Jacobs, a law professor at the University of Windsor and the lead author of Law and Disability in Canada, Cases and Materials. Do you want to dive into more conversations like this? Watch Now with Dave Brown weekdays at 9 a.m. Eastern on AMI TV or download the podcast wherever you listen.